lovelies, welcome into Health Streets, and today we are going to talk about a cell. Yes, a cell. So we're going to go right into the cell, and if somebody asks you what is a cell, what would you say? So a cell is a basic structural and functional unit of life, or a cell is a basic unit of life. So a cell is the smallest unit of an organism that is able to perform essential functions of life. What do I mean by being the smallest unit of an organism? I mean, an organism is made up of organ systems, it is made up of organs, it is made up of tissues, it is made up of a group of cells. So the smallest of an organism unit is the cell. You understand? For instance, if you talk of your circulatory system, that is a system that is made up of organs. Organs like we have the heart, we have your blood vessels, we have all those organs that make up a system. All right? And so for a system or for an organ system to be there, it starts from a cell. And when we have an organ system, several organ systems make up an organism. All right? So let's go back to our basic unit of life, that is the cell. So a cell is made up of organelles. So a cell, in as much as it is a very small unit of life, it has got functions going in there. It has got components in it, and those components are the ones that are performing these specific functions. They are the ones that are making this small structure. I mean, they are the ones that are making this small basic unit of life functional. All right? So inside a cell, and let me tell you, a cell can be so small. You can imagine the smallest cell is 0.2 micrometers. That is so small. It has to be microscopic. You have to use very high resolution microscopes to see that. All right? So, and actually, you guys, let me give you an assignment. Go and look at which is the biggest cell. It will be very interesting to find out, because you will also find out other things. All right? So assignment, go and look out for the biggest cell in the world. All right? So plant cells are very large, are also, although they are microscopic, they are also large cells. We can classify them as large cells. For instance, a plant cell can go as far as 100 micrometers. That is big, right? Yeah, plant cells can be really large. And then there are a few things you need to know about a cell. For instance, cells are very, very small. You can ask yourself, who discovered a cell? How did a human being just sit down and realize, oh, we have a cell? If you look at your skin, it is made up of very many cells. So who was even thinking about a cell? So a cell was discovered in the 1600s, but it was well elaborated in the 1800s. All right. So in the 1600s, that is when the microscope was discovered, right? So that is when the discoveries about a cell came about, and people realized, oh, we have other smaller aspects or smaller features that we can see, very tiny features, using a microscope. So in the 1600s, that is when the cell was discovered. The scientists like Robert Hooke were the ones who came about with the journey to discover a cell. All right? And when you talk about a cell, so later discoveries, so we have three scientists. The three scientists are Matthias Schleiden, Theodor Schwann, and Rudolf. I call him Virtue. So that the three scientists that came up with a theory, a principle called a cell theory, and it talks about three important things about a cell. So these scientists talked about a cell around 1800s, between 1800 and 1902. They talked about a cell and stated that. So they said, the first thing they said, that all living organisms are made up of cells, which is true, guys. So all living, by saying that all living organisms are made up of cells, what does that mean? I told you earlier on that organisms are made up of cells, no matter how small they are. For instance, we have a one-celled organism. Some cells, some organisms are just made up of one cell. Imagine, like the lower lives. We don't have a plant that is made up of one cell. We don't have an animal that is made up of one cell. But we have in the lower lives the likes of bacteria, the likes of archaea. Those ones, some of them are single-celled. Okay. And then the second thing that they said in the cell theory is that, so the second thing they said is that a cell is the basic and structural, is the basic structural and functional unit of a living organism. So that is in reference to the whatever I was telling you earlier on about the organ. It is the basic, the smallest, a basic unit of life, ideally defining a cell. All right. So we start from the cell, then we go to tissues. So a group of cells will come up with a tissue, with a tissue. A group of tissues will come up with an organ, and then from an organ we get organ system. Then from organ system we come up with an organism. All right. So life starts from the cell, and then they also said something else. So the third thing they said about cells arise from existing cells. From pre-existing cells. What does that mean? Cells arise from pre-existing cells through cell division. You understand what that means? You will come to understand about cell division, whereby a cell, one cell divides to produce one or two cells or four cells. We have mitosis, cell division, then we have meiosis type of cell division. So we have two types of cell division, and all those, they give rise to new cells. That is what that statement is basically saying. All right. What else do we need to know about a cell? So we have defined a cell. We have also talked about the cell theory. I've also told you a little bit about the six kingdoms that we have. So I hope I've said that. Actually, we have 6 kingdoms, you guys. We have the animal kingdom, we have kingdom Animalia, we have kingdom Plantae, we have kingdom Fungi, and then we have kingdom Protista. We also have kingdom Bacteria, and we have kingdom Archaea. So as we go down the kingdoms, so Animalia and Plantae, those are the higher forms of life. We are like in kingdom Animalia, we have animals, all types of animals, and also kingdom Animalia is divided into smaller groups. But yeah, all the big animals that you can see with your eyes are in kingdom Animalia. We also have plants, kingdom Plantae, that involves the smallest and the small plants, and also the big plants like the trees. All right. And then we have kingdom Fungi. Has got, we can see the fungi with our eyes, right? So that is also a little bit higher form of life. But then we have very lower ones falling in the category of Archaea and Bacteria. Those ones, sometimes you need, especially kingdom Bacteria, you need a microscope to see them, right? So all those kingdoms have got cells. Remember the cell theory. All living organisms are made up of cells. You understand? So never forget that. So when you're talking about a cell, remember the three principles from the cell theory. All right. And I've also told you that some organisms in those kingdoms, some of them are single cellular organisms, while others are multicellular. They have multiple cells. For instance, a human being has got 37.2 trillion cells. approximately. It also depends with so many things. So there are so many factors that can dictate how many cells you have, but that is not important. The most important thing is to know how a cell functions and to know that, yeah, that is a basic unit of life. Okay, yeah. So what else do we need to know about cells? Yeah, there's a kingdom that is very interesting, a kingdom that is called Protistes. Protistes is a kingdom that is eukaryotic, and that reminds me that we have to talk about eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. So let's first finish about kingdom protists. So kingdom protists is made up of organisms that are eukaryotic. Eukaryotic organisms are organisms that has got a proper nucleus in their cells. So their cells have got a nucleus that is enclosed by a nuclear membrane, and it is a well-defined nucleus. But now, these organisms in this kingdom, they cannot be classified as plants or as animals. They do not have all the characteristics of, for example, they do not, something like algae, an organism like algae, it has characteristics that really fit into the plant, in kingdom Plantae, but again it has others that are animal-like, so it doesn't fit anywhere. That's why they're just put in the kingdom Protistes, right? Protozoa, they are animal-like, but now they end up lacking features that make them fit properly to kingdom Animalia. And that's why you hear some people saying, oh, some animals are single-celled. So no animals are single-celled. That's why they are put in a kingdom called Protistes on their own there. Some amoebas, which fall in the category of kingdom Protiste. So amoeba are protozoas, yeah? We will learn about protozoas in microbiology later on. Oh, we have a lot of things to learn, you guys. So those organisms, they are put in kingdom Protistes because we don't know exactly where to put them. You understand? So they fit there. You will find protozoas, you will find algae, you'll find diatoms. There are so many. But nowadays there are some other kingdoms that are coming along. But for now, just understand the 6 kingdoms that we have: Animalia, Plantae, fungi. What else do we have? Fungi, those Protistes, the ones that you don't know where they are fitting, let them go to Protistes. Then we have bacteria and we have archaea. All right, so those are the kingdoms we have, and as per the cell theory, they are all living organisms are cellular. They are made up of cells, either one cell or multicellular cells. That is the thing to note. Yeah, so let's go back to eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. So actually, the cells are broadly classified as either eukaryotic or prokaryotic cells. Eukaryotic means that their nucleus are well defined. So if you look at that cell under a microscope, you're going to see a clear nucleus. Okay, in the next chapter, I'm going to show you a cell, how a cell looks like, and the organelles that are found in a cell, right? So there are organelles in a cell. How is a cell able to function as a basic unit of life? It's because it has organelles that perform different specific functions. For example, we have Golgi bodies, we have mitochondria, we have the nucleolus, we have centrioles. We have so many organelles inside a cell, right? So the cells have got these organelles, and that's why they're able to function, right? Able to function as a basic unit of life. And so where were we? Eukaryotic cells. So eukaryotic cells have got a nucleus that is enclosed in a nuclear membrane, all right? And then prokaryotic cells, these cells have no nucleus, or if they have, it is not enclosed in a nuclear membrane, and it is not well defined. You understand? So you'll just see a nucleus just lying anywhere in the cell. It can be centrally located, or it can be just somewhere in the cell. You'll just realize, yeah, mostly it's centrally located, but it's not a well-defined nucleus. And the eukaryotic animals, or rather eukaryotic organisms, are the higher animals mostly. You'll find out that the kingdom Animalia, kingdom Plantae, and funny enough, these protists that are, we don't know where to classify them to, they are eukaryotic. Their cells are very clearly defined. You understand? And as much as some of them are single-celled, they have a clear nucleus. Okay, so yeah, that's something worth noting. And then kingdom, the cells that are prokaryotic cells are very, as I told you, prokaryotic cells do not have a defined nucleus, and those ones are found in the bacteria and the archaea. Kingdom archaea, they have prokaryotic nucleus. Plant cells have got a cell wall, and animal cells have no cell wall. That is something that is very commonly known about the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. All right. Okay, so I'm going to give you a list of organelles that are present in animal cell, or rather a list of organelles that are present in and are absent in a plant cell, and vice versa. But I'm not going to give you the functions of those organelles, because I'm going to come up with a video after this to ensure that this one is not too long. I don't want to bore you with this, so that in the next one we're just going to list the functions of those organelles. All right, by now I know you are familiar with the cell and you understand what a cell is. So when we go to the organelles of a cell, I know you're going to understand what we are talking about now. All right, so we have in animal cells, in plant cells. So in plant cells you are likely to find the following organelles, and they are not in animal cells. 1, chloroplasts, central vacuole, we have cell wall, as we said, plasmodesmata, tonoplasts, amyloplasts, we have thylakoids, starch granules. We also have chlorophyll, the green coloring matter in the chloroplasts. All right. Yeah, so yeah, those are some of the cell organelles that are found in a plant cell and are not found in an animal cell. What about the ones that are found in an animal cell and they are not found in plant cells? What are the examples? We have lysosomes. What else? Centrioles. We have flagella. We have cilia. We have intermediate filaments. So those are some of the organelles that are found in animal cells and they are not found in plant cells. So we will see the functions of all those organelles and the ones that are common, that are found in both type of cells, animal cells and plant cells. So what is the takeaway home for this video? You have to understand what a cell is. You understand there's a history of cells. We also have some scientists that discovered a cell. You should have an idea of the size of a cell, clearly understand the cell theory, understand the broad classification of cells, that is eukaryotic and prokaryotic. All right, and then you should also understand the differences between a plant cell and an animal cell, and the biggest one being lack of a cell wall in a plant cell. You also have to understand that some animals are unicellular, they have a single cell, while others have got multiple cells. For example, animals and plants. All right, and we have the lower lives that have got single cells. Okay, what else do you need to understand? What else do you need to take away? That a cell is made up of organelles, and a cell is the smallest functional unit of an organism. All right, so with that, let us end this video here. I hope you've learned something very important about cells. All right, see you guys, have a lovely time.